right, MMA Maniacs, it is time once again for your installment of MMA News, brought to you weekly by Split Decision MMA Podcast from the Rudloff Family Inc. Studios. It is Bueller and Dodge on the mics, of course, giving it to you on Spreaker, Stitcher, SoundCloud, iTunes. If you want that, it'll update every week so you don't miss an episode. You can also get us on our official website, which is splitdecisionmma.com. And you can go to Facebook, which is Split Decision MMA Podcast. Give us a like. And on Twitter and Instagram, SD_MMA. I've done all I have to do, Dodge. Go ahead.
Starting off with some of the news, we have another drug test has been failed by another UFC fighter. This one, again, coming back from UFC Fight Night 51.
How long ago was that?
We just had Fight Night 50. That was back in September. So what are we on now, like 55?
It feels like Hallman fought so long ago.
Yeah, so Peter Hallman has now been tested positive for steroids.
Shocker.
So,
why don't we just say everybody test positive for steroids and then move on? Like blank slate. Just blank slate it and move forward.
just start everybody over?
Yeah, just give everybody positive steroid tests and move on.
Conor McGregor was up on Twitter, as he usually is, basically saying that he has 4 fights in and he owns the game. One of the big things he is talking about is FightPass. They put together this...
yes, of course. Great barometer. Something that's been around for less than a year.
Yeah,
awesome.
But they put out the top 10 most watched fights. And Conor McGregor, 2 of his fights are in there.
Okay.
In the top 10. Most searched fighters, he's the number 1 most searched fighter on FightPass.
Because he's relevant.
I'll give him that, yeah. And they're saying that some of the people in the top 10 most watched fights that is strangely absent is Ronda Rousey. Not a single one of her fights is in the top 10. Top 10 most watched fights is John Jones versus Alexander Gustafsson. Gilbert Melendez against Diego Sanchez. Anderson Silva, Chris Weidman. George St. Pierre against Johnny Hendricks. Benson Henderson, Anthony Pettis 2. Conor McGregor, Max Holloway. Cain Velasquez, Junior Dos Santos 3. Benson Henderson against Rustav Khabibulov. Conor McGregor against Marcus Brimage, and Johnny Hendricks against Carlos Condit.
I am thoroughly confused at number 2.
Gilbert Melendez, Diego Sanchez? Because it was such a great fight.
But you have championship status in most of these other fights, with the exception of the Conor McGregor fights, and you got Gilbert Melendez and Diego Sanchez that basically held no bearing.
But it was a great fight.
All right. Well,
I mean, it went down as one of the number 1 fights of the year, so it's in the top 10 candidate. If you look for the fight of the year, it's always in the top right now.
That it should be number 10.
I like how we're talking about Conor McGregor being such a star, and you're like, yeah, he's the only one that really doesn't fit on that list, you know, at this point.
No. Conor McGregor, I guess, does because he's relevant. He's making a name for himself.
Right. He doesn't understand why Gilbert Melendez, Diego Sanchez is there.
The number 2 fight.
Yeah.
Right.
Top most searched fighters: Conor McGregor, John Jones, Nick Diaz, Anderson Silva, T.J. Dillashaw, Daniel Cormier, Rory McDonald, Ronda Rousey, Mark Hunt, and Cain Velasquez. So apparently they're searching Ronda Rousey a lot, but they're not watching her fights.
Well, at the same time, you're looking at somebody like Conor McGregor. Like, okay, and Nick Diaz is number 3, who hasn't fought in how long?
Right.
But he still ranks number 3. I mean, I think it says more for Nick Diaz than it does for Conor McGregor, who has made a name for himself for just the last year.
They're also wondering, though, I mean, Kevin Aioli from Yahoo's the one who did this study and went to talk to the Fight Pass guys, that not a single fight before March 16th of last year was in the top 10. And they find that very odd. None of the fights with Chuck Liddell, none of the fights with Randy Couture, none of the fights with Tito Ortiz, none of those fights are in the top 10. And just for hardcore MMA fans, that's pretty, I think, a little weird. I mean, it's a little peculiar.
Yeah, you bring up a good point. I mean, if I actually had Fight Pass, then I probably would look up some of those older fights. I would love to see some of the older fights, especially back in the tournament days and stuff, and watch that over again. But again, Conor McGregor made a name for himself this year. It is weird. It is very weird.
I do like, though, the top 10 list of the most watched non-UFC event fights. Number 1, Nick Diaz against Paul Daly. Benson Henderson, Anthony Pettis. The first time when they fought in WEC, obviously, we had the Showtime kick. And then it's Fedor against Crow Cop. Back to Nick Diaz against Gomi.
That's awesome.
Nick Diaz against Frank Shamrock. Back to Fedor against Mark Hunt. Fedor against Kevin Randleman. Fedor against Mark Coleman. And then Uriah Faber, Jose Aldo, the first time they fought in WEC. And then back to Fedor against Vegeta and Pride.
Hey, Fedor's a legend.
A lot of pride.
He's a legend.
Fights being shown.
No, that just shows you that Fedor's got Fight Pass in every room of his house.
Everybody in Russia has Fight Pass.
Hey, everybody, what are we going to watch today?
Fedor.
Me. Okay.
We watch Fedor before dinner and then again after.
UFC is having some trouble in China. they're saying that they are not making the money they thought they were going to be making. When they went to Singapore at the Marina Sands Bay, they said it was not profitable. It only generated $1.2 million.
Darn.
And only 5,000 tickets were sold. That didn't even cover the money to stage the event. They're saying that the Marina Sands and the Venetian Macau both had to put out money for these events to happen.
But it's a Fight Pass event, right?
Yes, but they're saying even there, they didn't make the money.
It's a Fight Pass event. It wasn't promoted properly. It was a low rent event on an internet only stream.
Right, but they're saying they didn't make any money in the country that they're holding the event. Normally,
Nobody bought
money.
tickets.
Nobody bought tickets. Nobody went and saw the event
Because it's not a pay-per-view.
So it doesn't matter.
I think that's one of the biggest problems of the Fight Pass is it's not being executed properly, and it seems like a low rent fight.
Well, I'm going to have to argue because
they're talking about though at where it's at, because you have to think about in China they don't have a big market is what they're trying to say, and they thought they were going to have the same market that they had in Japan. They thought they were going to have the same market they had in Stockholm, the same market they had in Ireland, the same market they had in Brazil. And they aren't getting that market.
Right,
What? Go ahead.
I mean, they couldn't even get the 5,000. Just like in Mexico when they're like, we sold out.
Yeah.
If you just heard they just sold out at first, you're like, oh my God, I can't believe, because you think of like when the NFL goes down there, a sellout for an NFL stadium is 110, 120,000 people. But they sold out their event. It was basically 45,000 people.
Yeah.
So they couldn't even sell 5,000 tickets to this small thing. And we got people that do Chicken Ranch, and they'll do 12, 15,000.
Yeah, okay, but...
And you have to say that it's not Fight Pass's problem, because look at the sellout event that they had in Ireland that was on Fight Pass with Conor McGregor.
Well, the Irish are crazy. We've learned that from 11% of the sales of Conor McGregor fighting in the States were from Ireland.
But it's just like you didn't have much faith in the Facebook fights either, and that was Jay Lau's way that he came up in the ranks too. So obviously somebody's, even though you believe that it's an advertising thing, I think everybody, this country just doesn't want MMA.
No, they got other shit to worry about.
Yeah.
They got a billion people and a bunch of pollution.
Yeah, but if they don't they do Yokozuna and all that shit over there?
So sumo's very big, yeah.
Yeah.
In China?
Everywhere. Europe.
No? All right.
Said that sumo was a Japanese.
It is Japanese, but it is big in China as well. The gambling is big in China.
All I know about China is they smoke a lot of cigarettes.
True. Former pro boxer Paul Wallach was denied his pro MMA license by Illinois Athletic Commission. He was given his pro license from the New Jersey State Athletic Commission, which is universally respected as one of the top athletic commissions, especially for MMA. The guy was a pro boxer. He was 29-2-1 with 19 knockouts. Got as high as ranked as number 3 in the world at super welterweight. He's been known in the boxing world for a long time, and for some reason, the Illinois State, and he's been training under Renzo Gracie for quite a long time. The Illinois State Athletic Commission said that they wanted him to have an amateur fight first before they'll let him fight at the pro level. He was supposed to be booked at a pro level fight very soon, and they said at what is it, American Predator Fighting Championship 17.
Wouldn't that be amateur?
Technically, it's at the pro level. I mean, you get some of the fights here in the Chicken Ranch that are technically at the pro level. You got a lot of the King of the Cage are technically at the pro level.
Crazy.
They wanted him to have 4 amateur fights first. Now, a lot of the times they're saying that fighters that have been known for shown that they have competition and training history in combat sports, wrestling, grappling, or other martial arts, and demonstrate exceptional fighting ability can skip the amateur level of 4 fights and go directly to pro. Somebody like this, obviously, who was a pro boxer should be able to, should qualify. And again, the New Jersey State Athletic Commission allowed him to go ahead and got his pro license, whereas Illinois, for some reason, denied him. And it was funny because his one of the New Jersey State Athletic Commission's executive director said, "Who are you going to match this guy up with? What seasoned professional fighter or a boxer has an extensive background in MMA? Who are you going to put him in there? What young amateur are you going to throw him to make him fight in the amateur level?" Like, to me, he says that's ridiculous. That's not fair. The amateurs are going to have to fight this guy who fights on a pro boxing level.
It's terrible.
This guy should immediately have to go into the pros, and he's basically saying that shame on the Illinois State Athletic Commission. He's not. He's going to be moving to Pennsylvania to go and have his fight. But it's just very strange that something like this would happen, and you would think that basically what they're calling for is that there's some sort of, again, Universal Athletic Commission where they're going to respect the rules. I mean, we saw this with TRT. Once New Jersey said it was banned, Nevada said it was banned, California immediately said it was banned.
It was like dominoes. Yeah,
just everyone started going. So do you think this is something they need to look into as far as the pro and the amateur levels?
I didn't even know this was a thing until now. But yeah, absolutely. I mean, there has to be some kind of measuring stick to where they can be like, okay, well, this guy's a pro boxer and he's got whatever 4 years of training jiu-jitsu. I don't know what it was, but
with Henzo, yeah.
So let him go.
Especially if someone like Henzo says, I think he's good to go in MMA.
Well, not only that, but how
like
many
you
guys
would take his word, you know?
How many rookies come into the UFC on the undercard that are like, they're like, oh, he's done 8 years of Muay Thai
in kickboxing or something,
and that's it.
Yeah,
so that seems ridiculous to me.
Cung Le is deciding he is going to protest and appeal for a suspension, or appeal his suspension that was handed down by the UFC. Now, this is the first time that the UFC themselves, they were the ones that tested him because they were out of country. They're the ones that busted him and gave him the 1 year suspension. I think it was actually 9 months. But he is going to appeal his failed drug test. And they're saying that this is the first time it's ever going to be happened that it's being by the UFC that's been testing him. The first time it's ever, he's going to have to appeal directly to the UFC.
They were the governing body over
They were the governing body, okay. Yeah. And so the UFC has said that they are linking up with a third-party arbitrator to hear the appeal, and they'll put together a case and see what happens.
Did they have any leftover urine?
I don't know. I don't know
sure
if they hold on to it.
They always keep it controlled, right? That's called the control. Untouched. You didn't do nothing to it.
The control hold. And they got to split that in half.
You guys feel, earlier this week, they were talking about this on another page, and for some reason they really seem to believe that Kung's really big here in NorCal.
He is huge in NorCal. Extremely huge in San Jose. That's where he's from.
Really?
He sold half the first Strikeforce, 10 cards.
You got him versus Frank Shamrock, and that card was insane.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But I mean,
he made his debut. He made his debut in Strikeforce. His first 5 fights were in Strikeforce before he fought Frank Shamrock. So he's very well known in the San Jose area. In fact, when he was going up against Shamrock, it was very kind of like small town side. Like everybody was either you're on Kung's side or you're on.
There were flags or everything.
Yeah, he came out in his San Jose Sharks jersey. I mean, it was very big deal.
He's a huge deal in California, but the thing is, once he got to the UFC, he lost a step because he was doing movies and all kinds of other shit.
Right.
And so the populace of the UFC fans are like, okay, Cung Le, whatever. But here in Northern California, yeah, he's definitely a big deal.
So we had our Battlegrounds MMA 1 event that happened in Oklahoma. This was the tournament that they had for the middleweights. This is the one that good old JR and Chael Sonnen was the commentary for.
Oh,
so they offered out $50,000 cash prize for the guy who wins the entire tournament. Rowan Junko Canero won this thing. He won 3 fights in that one night and was given his $50,000. However, the Oklahoma State Athletic Commission has holding $15,000 of his money because they said he failed to show up in time for his medical.
What?
They're finding and suspending him. They're saying that he showed up late for his mandatory physical. They said the weigh-ins were at noon. They gave their rules. They said you were supposed to show up the next day. Pre-bout physicals at 7. 6:30, the commission was there. 7 o'clock, right before 7, the doctors were there. He was called. He was texted by 7:15. He said he was late. He was on his way. He didn't show up to 8:05, so they're holding 30% of his purse pending a hearing for failing to show up on time.
So he woke up to a text at 7:15 and was like, oh shit, I'm late. But he got out of bed and roll over there.
And now they're holding $15,000 of his 50.
Well, I mean, you put it in numbers like that, yeah, it sounds like a lot. But you put it in percentage, like, okay, if you don't show up on time, we're going to hold this amount, this percentage of your purse. If you don't make it on time, if you overslept, then
as long as that was stated in some prior contract,
right?
Because I don't know, it just seems like a weird number.
But for $15,000, man, I'd fuck somebody up for $15,000. I'm talking baseball bats and shit.
Nate Diaz manager recently spoke with I believe it was MMA Tonight or in Area Hawani about Nate Diaz's contracts. Everybody thought everything was hunky dory. Everybody thought he was happy. He says, "Fuck no, we're not happy."
Rule number 1 of being an outspoken MMA fighter: get somebody who's more outspoken than you.
No, fuck no, no. We're not happy. Not happy at all. We are not happy with what we were signing. We just kind of made it work because it was 2 weeks before the fight, and there wasn't time to make a lot of waves. And it is what it is. Nobody said everything's okay. He's back because he needs to fight. He needs to earn a living. If he was Mayweather making $30 million, he'd probably never come back and
shut the
fight
fuck
again.
up. You're not Mayweather.
But he doesn't get the kind of money people deserve. He thinks, get the kind of money that people think he does. You can't sit out there forever. You have to come back at some point. At least he came back on his own terms. He got to fight who he wanted, and that was a top 3 contender.
It's so stupid. Mayweather gets so much money from boxing promoters and sponsors and stuff like that. You can't compare it to that. I mean, yeah, the UFC rakes in a lot of money, and they pay out a percentage base to their fighters, which is how all sports should be handled, honestly. But Nate to Mayweather? Are you serious right now? Like, how do you make that fucking jump?
It's kind of funny.
It's hilarious.
But, again, he's fighting somebody that he wanted to fight, so he had to be happy about that, right?
Right.
I mean, again, and that's what Dana White says. You can't sit out there forever. If you don't want to make money, cool. Sit. Right. You're going to come back eventually. I think you need money.
The iron hand of Dana White in some instances is needed.
Yeah,
really.
For sure.
Some people just need a spanking.
No, but it's just like sports too. They have the right to look right in their face and go, I'm going to give you all your money and you're never going to fight.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm going to pay your contract out and you will walk right now. What do you want to do? I think I'll fight in 2 weeks.
Exactly. 100%.
Yeah, because
I don't want to do that. I'm going to hold out. Let's negotiate. Maybe January we come to a better deal. Fuck that. I'm not saying there's not a lot of wiggle room in pay, because there obviously is. But at the same time, it shouldn't be so much these fighters chasing the NFL money or the NBA money or the MLB money, as that stuff should be deflated a little bit.
Oh, you have no idea. If either one of them come back and win, if Nick beats Anderson,
it's huge.
Oh, you don't even. He's going to stand on the Empire State Building screaming what he wants.
He's going to scream 209.
It's going to be crazy.
209.
Stockton what?
Yeah.
Stockton what? Fuck y'all motherfuckers.
Yeah. And if Nate wins in 2 weeks, they're going to fight.
Yep.
It's just going to feed the insanity.
Yeah. He'll say the same thing. Stockton, what? You know what I mean? I'm over here.
He's actually a little more reserved than.
I tell you right now,
likes
man.
To thank everybody.
Me and my brother, we're gonna be champions right now. We're gonna win this whole thing. We both be champs in our own divisions, and then we gonna smoke a lot of weed, or ride mountain bikes and shit.
No, he wants to be the number 2 because Gilbert's gonna be the number 1.
I'm gonna let Gilbert have the number 1. He has the belt, but I'm gonna beat up everybody who comes to the belt, so there'll be no contenders. And then Gilbert can just sit around on the couch, eat fucking Ben and Jerry's and shit, and then I'm gonna sit here and fight everybody who comes for fucking Gilbert. Fuck y'all 209. What? Come at me, bro.
What's up?
Jacare was hoping to get a title shot against Chris Weidman and Vitor Belfort. However, that title fight has been delayed. And also, Jacare had those nasty elbow issues. We got to see the chunks that were coming out of his elbow the last time we were talking about him. So now he's saying he would like to fight Dan Henderson.
All right.
And he wants that fight at middleweight. He says he's willing to go up to light heavy if he has to, but he'd like to keep the fight at middleweight, which is his weight class. Dan Henderson has now accepted online and said, I will even drop down to middleweight for that fight.
Such a nothing fight for Jacare.
That's a name.
Where is he ranked?
It doesn't matter. It's a name.
No, it doesn't. It does matter. What's he going to do? Fucking fight Randy Couture, who hasn't fought in fucking a decade?
No, because he's retired.
And Hendo should be too.
Let's just do this as a weekly section. We'll just call it Fighters Seeking Fights.
We've talked about this.
Yeah, but it just needs to be a weekly section.
We'll make it a staple. Seriously, like, how did you fucking pick him up off Craigslist? Are you looking for a fight, bro?
He's not even in the top 15.
Yeah. Of course he's not.
Oh, but he's in the top 10 of light heavyweight.
All right. Well, then fight him at
there
light
you
heavyweight.
Go. Well, that's what he said. He said he would fight him at light heavyweight just to make the fight, but he'd rather have it at middleweight because that's his natural weight.
I think it's still a stupid fight for him.
You wouldn't want to see that fight?
No, not at all.
Not at all?
I don't think it does anything for his career.
I think it's just a big name. Big name. Everybody knows who Dan Henderson is.
Okay, cool. Then let him fight Sakuraba.
Yeah,
let him fight Hoist Gracie. Let him fight Chuck Liddell. Let him fight Randy Couture. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
He's fighting
it's
Gracie.
A name.
Gracie and Sakuraba already got a fight, dude.
No, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You're saying it's a
Chuck
name.
Liddell, I'd let him see. I'd pay to see that fight.
I would not. That's dumb.
Does he get to bring in batteries?
Yes.
Yes, brings in batteries
brings
and
in the dirt
brakes.
last.
No, now we're going WWE. That's fine. That's fine.
Hoist Gracie has joined Bellator.
Speaking of which,
as a brand ambassador.
all right,
How strange do you think this is?
I think it's a stupid idea.
So is his again, just like we're talking about with Ronda, they're actually putting in his face.
Gracie will will host seminars.
There we go.
He meant to do that. He meant
There
to do
we go.
it. It was,
We're down to zero.
Down to
shows.
zero again. Be
Zero
involved in
shows.
autograph promotional
Without an
appearances.
incident.
And work with the international expansion of Bellator around the world.
why?
Because the UFC didn't offer him a desk job.
Yeah, all right, fair enough.
And he's good friends with Scott Coker.
I mean, if you go with the whole conspiracy theory of the UFC and Hickson and Pride and stuff like that, like they put, like when the Gracies owned it, they put Hoyce in there because they put Hickson in there. He was physically intimidating, and it was like, oh, if he's beating all these guys up.
Yeah, he's bigger. So they picked the smallest guy they had.
Yeah, which was Hoyce.
Who's the little brother? You, come here.
Yeah. you look like you get beat up in grade school, so you go out and beat everybody up, and we're going to build a brand on you.
Yep.
And it wasn't his idea.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
What?
So
All right.
so how does he do branding for another organization? I don't understand that at all. Especially when he's like 20 years removed from the sport. You know?
Last time we see him fight in the UFC was Matt Hughes,
yeah.
and he lost horribly.
Broke his arm.
Yeah, that's great. Darren Cruikshank's going to be going up against KJ Noons December 12th. Now, Darren Cruikshank just won and beat Anthony Ikwani back in October 4th, which was actually not that long ago. Quick turnaround for him. What do you think about this fight? I mean, this is a definitive kickboxer going up against... I mean, KJ Noons is a pretty good boxer in his own right.
Yeah.
Somewhat decent wrestler, at least defensively. Now going up against a kickboxer in Cruikshank, Cruikshank's got some pretty slick moves.
I think Cruikshank is great. He brings a lot to the table, but KJ Noons, I mean, with his history and his last fight, I think it's a lot of trouble, honestly.
A lot of trouble?
I think it's a lot of trouble for Cruikshank.
All right.
But I mean, at the same time, with the way they match up with kickboxer versus boxer, with some wrestling mixed in, it could be very interesting. I still think Cruikshank's in trouble with that. You?
I think Cruikshank was going to pose an interesting puzzle for him to figure out on the feet, especially with the kicks and a lot of the spins and stuff. But I think that KJ Noons is a little quicker, especially in and out of the pocket with his boxing.
I just think that Noons has dealt with the kicks. Maybe
Definitely.
Maybe not from a kickboxer like
a heavy enough kickboxer like Cruikshank, but I think he's dealt enough with in MMA and in the guys he's gone up against. Yeah, and he's more of a veteran. I mean, for sure. So I definitely think Noons would be taking that fight. We'll see how it goes as it gets closer. Following his loss to Manny Gambarian, Cody Gibson.
Oh, God. This actually made the show. I was so disappointed when I saw this. I didn't even want to talk about it. I was so bummed out when I saw this.
Was caught by TMZ in a fight at a bar in Vegas. He does not, and I haven't seen anything yet, does not think he will be disciplined by the UFC.
Hopefully his embarrassment is enough.
Yeah.
That's enough punishment when you do some stupid shit
At first
like
I
this?
thought he was the other guy when I was watching. I really did. But, so we'll put this up on our Facebook. You can find out for yourself. Basically, I mean...
This is me as a drunk UFC fighter.
That's why you're undefeated.
This is... Exactly. Exactly.
But he was telling the guy, Google me, which I think is hilarious. Only Mayweather can use that. Google me.
I am?
Oh, he has, too.
I know. You don't know who I am? Google me.
Oh, the Jamaican chick?
That was hilarious. She's like, I'm sorry, I don't watch boxing. I don't
he's
know
like,
you.
what if I Google you? She goes, I'm nobody.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I don't know who you are.
Yeah.
I don't watch boxing. Are you serious? Are you serious?
Are you serious?
I had some people read to me one time, and they told me...
I'm on Google.
I'm on Google.
This is Floyd Mayweather for the iHeart Radio.
Have you heard that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It's a 40-second thing, right?
Did they just say...
It's sad.
Did they say, okay, say your name. It's pause.
You know what's funny is
Now
that
say iHeartRadio. Pause.
but
and we're just going to mash it together so it sounds like an intelligible sentence.
No,
the thing is he omitted the word I because he thought that was a prompt to him.
yeah.
This is Floyd Mayweather Heart Radio?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
This is Floyd Mayweather. Heart Radio wants to bring to you...
Yeah.
Oh, God. I'm going to get fired. Charlemagne the God did it first. He works for the same fucking company as me.
Josh Berkman has re-signed with the UFC after being 6 years away, going over 2 World Series of Fighting. Now he is back.
Berkman, wow. That's
First
cool.
fight immediately, Hector Lombard. I am now scared for Josh Berkman.
Ooh, that's a rough fight.
Yeah.
With Hector Lombard being the up and down guy that he is.
But he's still pretty big.
Yeah, for Josh Berkman.
And when he's in his rhythm, he is a monster at the weight class.
But so is Berkman. When Berkman
he's the people's warrior.
Exactly.
The moly people's warrior.
Look.
What's Lombard's thing?
He's show weather.
Shit, that's right. Show weather.
You know, fuck it. I'll take Berkman in this fight just to piss you off.
Yeah.
Oh, hell yeah.
I like
it. Hell yeah. This is official Berkman Lombard burrito.
So
I will show up with a Chipotle burrito and I will slap it down right here. If your boy Lombard wins this fight, I will do it.
This could be a good fight.
Yeah, it could be a great fight.
I think it could be a good fight. This is also going to be on the UFC 182 card. John Jones against Daniel Cormier. That card's looking pretty stacked.
If it actually happens. That's why they're stacked.
they're literally going to fight.
It's going to
Literally.
Figuratively. Wait, what?
Literally.
Virtually.
Virtually.
No, here's the thing.
Respectfully.
They're stocking the card up because that fight's not going to happen. They still have a stacked card for when that fight doesn't happen.
Just like they stacked Demetrius Johnson's card because he doesn't know how to sell them.
Yeah, pretty much.
The video actually shows like people right when he's
Walking
coming
out.
in. They're like, oh, all right, the little guys are fine.
Holly Holm is going to get her first fight, UFC 181, December 6th. She's going to be fighting Ultimate Fighter 18 alum Raquel Pennington.
Poor Rocky.
I feel bad for Rocky. I really do.
You're a big fan of Holly Holm, right?
Yeah, she's pretty good. She is a pro boxer with 33-2-3 record.
And pissed off, dude. Imagine like a cat that's been in a cage and people are poking sticks at it.
Yeah.
This lady's going to come out.
So McCain. All right, cool.
She is 7-0 in MMA, 6 of those by knockout.
Did she lift her arms?
Yeah, she's pretty beastly, and I feel bad for Rocky Pennington.
You said locked in the cage, poking sticks. I thought McCain. I just didn't know.
All right.
So it's nice to see that she actually got her first fight. We can see how she does, and obviously she tears through Rocky. I don't know where that puts her in any sort of title shot.
But if Rocky knocks her out,
Is it strawweight?
No,
Oh,
this is bantamweight.
Oh, I didn't know. Okay,
Yeah.
All right.
So I think they're kind of giving her easy a fight for her first fight.
she's on. Yeah, she's supposedly also on the road to Rousey.
Yes.
I do not want to ever be on the road to Rousey.
No?
No, that only ends in armbar, so I don't know.
November 15th is going to be a crazy night for fights. We have 3 cards going down. One of them UFC, one of them Bellator, and one World Series of Fighting. People are asking, which one are you going to watch?
UFC.
UFC will be on Fox Sports and pay-per-view. The pay-per-view is Cain Velasquez against Fabricio Verdum, Joe Lauzon against Diego Sanchez, Ellenberger against Gastelum.
Yeah, I would watch the other ones over Cain Velasquez's great return. Of course. Why not?
Free on Spike, Tito Ortiz, Stephan Bonner, Michael Chandler against Will Brooks, Melvin Manhoef against Joe Schilling, King Mo Law against Tom DeBlas.
Wow, they're really throwing it up there, aren't they?
Right? And World Series of Fighting free on NBC. 3 title fights, David Brantz against Yushin Okami, Justin Guthrie against Melvin Gillard, and Jessica Aguilar against Kalarindra
Still
Faria.
paying the money. Still paying the money for Cain.
Still paying the money?
Still paying the money for Cain.
Ali Abdelaziz, I can never say his name, Vice President
Bless you.
and matchmaker for World Series of Fighting says, we have 3 title fights that are free on NBC. I guarantee you the fans are going to be watching ours.
Yeah, of course. I would watch 3 title fights between people I don't know who they are versus Cain Velasquez, the heavyweight champion of the world. Of course.
I think, my DVR, if I had a DVR, will be recording World Series of Fighting in Bellator. But instead, I'll just find them.
I'm wondering if I can record 2 channels and watch one live one at this point. That's what I'm wondering.
If you have the hopper.
Well, you got him to come over and fondle your Google Chrome dongle thing. I'm sure
My dongle works fine now.
I think we'll be able to work it out.
I figured it out.
Sure, we'll be able to figure it out. And, of course, the biggest news this week, Mayhem Miller causing some mayhem.
It's just fucking nuts. He needs to hook up with Amanda Bynes and go to a rubber room together and make crazy babies.
We got in on this.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Dennis was tweeting at him.
Yeah, we told him to go out to the window and yell World Star Hip Hop.
Did he do it?
We don't know.
You would have got shot with a tear gas grenade right in the face.
No, they threw a phone box.
They threw a phone box at him
Through his
because they
plate glass
considered him
window.
crazy. He was tweeting the entire time.
Oh, yeah.
I personally...
What do you mean considered him crazy? The guy's fucking nuts. He's done nothing but nutty shit for like the last, 6 years at least?
I personally believe he does have some sort of bipolar disorder.
Because 12 hours prior to that, he was Old Dirty Bastard for like 10 hours.
On Twitter.
And then he said the cops were chasing him, and everybody's like, you're a nut. Well, then they come to serve him. So there's a good possibility that they were trying to pick him up during the night, without, we already know we need to grab him. So let's try to do it without incident. Because they knew as soon as they come to his house, obviously they knew.
Yeah.
They had a chopper on the ready.
Yeah, they at 10 a.m. in the morning.
Which cost $12,000 an hour.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
They attempted to serve him an outstanding warrant, and he decided to remain barricaded inside of his house for 4 hours.
Yeah. And
While he was tweeting the whole
I
thing.
kind of wonder, if the cops came to my house because I have this escalated staircase, what would I use to barricade my door? That's what I'm thinking about right now.
You'd be throwing all kinds of stuff down the door. Look at
Look
his
at his
mugshot.
little curly Q.
He looks like he's from the Who. What is it, Whoville?
Look, cut it down the middle. He's definitely bipolar.
He's
Two different people, dude.
It's two different people. He looks like he's from Whoville.
He really fucking does. He's Cindy Lou Who.
Yeah, so I don't know. What do you
do with that?
Felony arrest warrant for domestic violence, stalking in violation of court order, and obstructing and delaying a peace officer. And then right before that, he had tweeted Dana White, "Hey, remember that chick?
Yeah,
they gave you the clap. They caused you a bunch of marital problems. I hit it that same weekend, but I wore a rubber."
See, and we had put that out. We had put that out the day before.
Dear
We're like,
Dana,
yeah,
I never want to fight in the UFC again. Love, ma'am. Hearts, stars, fairies, and shit. Let him and War Machine fight it out. That's what I want to see.
In prison.
Prison yard
Undisputed 3, right? Undisputed 3?
Yeah.
The movie was in prison. There we go.
Yeah.
Undisputed 5, The Return to Prison.
Fucking all over it.
Mayhem versus War Machine.
I'd watch the fuck out of that.
Aren't they the same weight class? Yeah, welterweight.
They are, yeah.
That'd be amazing.
I would pay top dollar.
That's pay-per-view money.
Uh-huh.
We need to get this together.
They start tweeting at all the prisons. San Quentin. At San Quentin.
Yeah.
Is that how it works? Josh, get on it. Do at San Quentin.
I'll do it.
Get on it. So we had 2 UFC cards go down this past weekend.
Yeah, I didn't see the Swedish one.
Both of them were on. Both of them were on Fight Pass. Fight Night that was supposed to be on Fox Sports 1 got delayed due to the Giants game. And so then it got moved to Fox Sports 2.
So you saw the main event.
And also got moved to FX.
Right.
And then they've been replaying the shit out of it on Fox Sports 1 because they're like, we fucked up.
yeah.
We didn't air any of the UFC stuff on our channel.
Yeah.
They didn't fuck up. It's an 18-inning game. It was fucking history, man. 6 hours and 23 minutes.
You know what else made history? Rory McDonald actually finished a fight.
Too serious. For realsies.
What I liked about it is that, there's these households where people are probably going, what, man, you want to watch the baseball game? Man, that's old shit, man. UFC's a new thing, man. That's what you're supposed to be watching. You and that whack-ass baseball shit. Oh, wait.
I don't have Fox Sports 2.
I can only watch baseball because it's still a real mainstream sport.
And I don't have Fox Sports 2.
Yeah.
My favorite thing of the whole night, I got to see the main event when I got home. My favorite thing of the whole night was Mabel, this old-ass woman in my family. She's not related to me at all. She's old, and she's like related to my cousin, like cousin's grandma or some shit. I have no idea. She knows Jesus personally. She walked Moses across the Red Sea. She probably signed a Declaration of Independence. And she's sitting over there and she's like, what inning is it? 18. What? Because she was there when they made the rules for baseball. She helped write the motherfuckers. And what inning? It's 18. It's 18, Mabel. 18. Oh, I don't understand. What inning is it? It's 18. But that's 2 baseball games. Like, she lost her shit that it was 2 baseball games. I'm like, yeah, it's fucking up the UFC, too.
It was a doubleheader.
It literally went at once. Ooh, I know that chick.
So we had on the Swedish show, we had Rick Story defeating Gunnar Nelson, taking out undefeated Gunnar Nelson. Rick Story gets the split decision.
Wow.
And then mistaken, right? The loser gets mistaken.
Yeah.
He comes into the ring and interviews the wrong guy.
Yeah, it was pretty great.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Max Holloway over Akira Kurosani, knockout round 1.
Max Holloway.
John Blachowicz over Iri Latifi, TKO. and Mike Wilkinson over Nicholas Backstrom.
Awesome.
Yeah. Dennis Sever also defeating Charles Rosa. Charles Rosa getting fight of the night with Dennis Sever. Not bad for a guy on 6 days' notice because the other guy was not apparently qualified according to the Swedish.
To get a fight of the night bonus on 6 days' notice is pretty awesome.
Right?
Yeah. You say he wasn't Swedish enough? Is that what?
No, because remember the Swedish Athletic Commission wouldn't let him fight their original opponent fight. Said that they didn't think it was a fair enough fight, so they put in Charles Rosa instead.
It's not fair.
Yeah.
All right.
So then we had the main event that was on moved to FX. Mitch Gagnon over Roman Salazar with submission rear naked choke. Norden Talib over Lee Jingaling decision split. Elias Thurido over Bruno Santos. Chad Laprise over Yodenis Sedano.
Oh, poor Brian Caraway.
Oh, Rafael Swanko defeated Brian Caraway with a unanimous decision, 30-27 across the board. And Rory McDonald finishing a fight, TKO Tariq Safardine. Going down.
Big time.
Big
too.
TKO.
First person to ever finish Tariq Safardine in that kind of fashion.
Yeah.
Good job for Rory McDonald. We have a new fighter, a new breed on our hands.
And out of this event came this tattoo.
That wasn't beforehand?
I think it happened the same day.
Either way, it's stupid.
But he already had, allegedly, I've been reading now, the Chuck Liddell tattoo. Well, the silhouette of Chuck Liddell.
The silhouette of Chuck Liddell underneath the Halifax, Nova Scotia
UFC Fight Night
tattoo. It's the worst tattoo. I have a lot of shitty tattoos. I'm a walking billboard for shitty tattoos. This is the worst tattoo I've ever seen in my life.
What, you think it's the worst MMA tattoo? Compared
Yes.
to the Kimbo guys? Compared to the King of the Cage guy on the forehead? The Bellator guy?
Okay, the King of the Cage guy on the forehead was stupid.
It was a nice tattoo.
Was not worse work than this. It was bad work, but the lines were a little more solid than this one.
All right.
I'm just saying.
Not one of these is worse, really?
No regrets, bro.
That one's pretty bad.
No regrets.
No regrets.
But it's also blurred.
No regrets.
No,
No, there's
Not
some
even
close
one letter.
ones. The Lieben one's bad. The Nick Diaz one is bad. But that UFC Nova Scotia one is the
That
worst.
Chuck Liddell's pretty bad.
But because it's so cartoony, it works.
That looks like Super Punch Out Chuck Liddell.
Yeah.
It looks like, what was it, the guy who made his own Chuck Liddell mascot
Yeah,
costume?
yeah,
yeah.
That was at
Yes.
Fight Week?
Yeah.
It looks
That's
like
why it works. That's
they got
exactly
his
why it
tattoo.
works. You would see that in a video game. That's fine. But see, the
WEC cage?
that one's pretty bad too. I still don't think anything's worse than the Nova Scotia one. I just
All right.
don't. I don't.
Well, we do have one event to talk about that's coming up this weekend. This Saturday, we're going to have World Series of Fighting 14 Canada.
Big deals.
This is going to be, I thought this was for the Canadian welterweight title. I could be wrong. I don't see it on here, so probably not. But I know they were going to start their own.
They have a Canadian belt,
Yeah, they were going to
like
start.
WWF stuff.
Yeah, they were going to do
cool.
that. Ryan Ford going up against Jake Shields as the main event.
And you're worried for Jake Shields.
I'm worried for Jake Shields because Ryan Ford is a scary man. Now,
we watched his highlight reel earlier, and
he's very violent, very heavy-handed.
Yes.
He picks guys up and dumps them. He's very strong for welterweight. Did very good in MFC. However, like we said, I think Jake Shields will wrestle hump him to death.
Well, we saw
That's his only hope.
We saw what Jake Shields did to Dan Henderson, who was like a lot of people favored him going into that fight because of his experience and his big H-bomb and stuff like that. And Jake Shields just manhandled him. It's very possible the same thing will happen because obviously the guy that we're seeing, he's
22-4.
He's a stand-up fighter, even though he does great on the ground. But that's after he's already rocked the guy on the feet.
Oh yeah.
So if Jake Shields plays it smart and goes in for the takedown and tries to wrestle fuck him to death, then Jake Shields walks away victorious. But if he decides to stand and trade, we all know how bad Jake Shields' boxing is.
Yeah, it's so robotic.
It might be the worst in
MMA.
Absolutely. So he could get knocked the fuck out too. For Jake Shields' sake, I hope that he does go for the takedowns and tries to grind him out, but I guess only time will tell. We also have Chris Horodesky fighting on this up against Louis Huet, and 5-1, Chris Horodesky will cheat. I'm just throwing that out there.
I mean, that is his nature.
It really is.
Yeah.
Grab the cage, grab the ropes, grab whatever. Who knows? Anyway, thanks for listening. Watch the fights this weekend.
Hello?
He's got something to say.
Yes, dear.
Yeah, well, earlier
dear.
this week, Americana MMA, they had a big, I guess, delusion of fighters who were coming for handouts and stuff, and then if they wouldn't help them, like, because they sell shirts and apparel, and if they didn't help them, like, they would act like they would help the page or their Twitter accounts, but then once Americana was like, well, we couldn't help you out, they would just drop off, like you they'd lose likes and stuff like that. So Americana actually came out this week and told them, "Hey fuckers, if you stick around, maybe we'd help some of you out. But as soon as we tell you we can't give you something right offhand, you guys stop liking us or stop tweeting us out, And so then later on in the week, they put out a shirt with 2 middle fingers on it. I just want to say you should check out some of the shirts. They're at AmericanaMMA.org. It's pretty badass shirts.
So go check it out, AmericanaMMA.org or not. Wait, what?
No, Americana.
one N.
MMA.
One N.
Oh, I forgot.
NNA. American 1 N. Nope. Oh, there we go. MMA.org. There we go. Okay, we're working on this. We'll work it out. We'll do it all together. We're all friends right now.
Yeah.
So that
they
works.
sponsor Second of all. That's cool.
Yeah.
Okay, AmericanaMMA.org. O-R-G. Go ahead and check that out and check out the shirts with the 2 middle fingers. See it right there? That'd be it. That's pretty dope, actually. I wonder if my kid could wear that to school. It'd be awesome. Anyway, thanks for listening. We appreciate you guys checking us out every week. Check us out at splitdecisionmma.com. That is our official website. Otherwise, download us at Spreaker, Stitcher, and SoundCloud. Also, iTunes. If you subscribe, you'll never miss an episode. Get us on Facebook, which is Split Decision MMA Podcast. Give us a like, or on Twitter and Instagram, which is SD_MMA. And that's about it from the Rula Family Inc. studios. It is Bueller and Dodge on the mics saying have a good night. We will see you at the fights.